Hi everyone, Nubkeks here, and in today's video we're talking about World of Warcraft, and I want to talk to you about my decision in the last month or so to step down from raid leading in World of Warcraft. As you guys have been following the channel for a good while will know, I was raid leading Mythic and we got Cutting Edge since Battle of Dazar'alor. So Battle of Dazar'alor, Eternal Palace, Nyloth at Castle Nathria, and then coming into Sanctum of Domination, why I stepped back, and also to give you guys some insight and some advice and tips as well, and some of the main takeaways from me as to what makes a good raid leader, when to recognize when you're being a bad raid leader, and yeah, when it's right to step away as well. So yeah, this should be a bit of an interesting one. I've got some background footage of some of our progress at the moment on Remnant of Ner'zhul Mythic. So yeah, it's a quick word from the sponsor, then we will dive in. Before we dive into today's video though, I want to take a quick minute to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creative and curious people, where millions, from beginners to pros, dabblers to masters, can come together to take the next step in their creative journey. There are thousands of different classes and tons of different projects and workshops you can take part in, and this month in August I was checking out How to Study for Exams, an evidence-based masterclass by Ali Abdul. So if any of you are taking a course this year, or you're in university at the moment, anything like that, this is a great masterclass to help you get the most out of your time, out of your study, and get the best results. And of course, it's really important to mention that Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, so there's no ads, and there's constantly new premium classes coming out for you to check out. And a big thank you to Skillshare as well, because for people on the YouTube community, up until September of this year, they're actually doubling the free trial, right? So if you follow the link in the description down below, it should also be in a pinned comment down below as well, you'll actually get 1 month free membership of Skillshare Premium. That's for the first 1,000 people to click the link. You can jump on and just check out absolutely every single feature that they have on the website. So yes, go down, click that link in the description, check out all the stuff that's on there for free. There's so much stuff, and I really do hope you enjoy. And with that, let's dive back into today's video. Okay, so to start out, I guess it's worth pointing out that me quitting raid leading, because I think a lot of people will assume that it's because of, the scandals that are happening with Blizzard at the moment, or, just because of the state of the game, or that fact that I'm playing a lot of Final Fantasy and loving it. It actually doesn't have anything to do with that though. For example, I started raid leading and I was still, I think at the time, maining Heroes of the Storm, and that was my main thing I was covering on YouTube and streaming and all of that. So I'm perfectly capable of playing other games and still playing tons of WoW as a side game as well. So it's nothing to do with that, but rather something that has been building for a long time, and it's probably something that will resonate with a lot of people that have raid leaded in the past, or that are raid leading at the moment, for sure. And that's just a sort of a general burnout, right? A general burnout, which is very much tied in, and I think this is something that you need to be aware of as well, is different styles of raid leading, right? What sort of raid leader are you, or what is a good raid leader about? What do they actually do? And I actually think there's a big variety of ways that you can do it. I think one great example, if you look at the Echo and Limit, the two top guilds in the world right now, yeah. Scripe for Echo, who won this race, he's a pretty salty dude. He gets a bit tilted, he gets a bit pissed off at his team when he's raid leading, and he can give out to them quite a lot. Whereas Max for Limit, he basically almost never does any of that stuff. He's nearly always really calm and positive. They're just two different ways. I think that's one of the big mistakes actually people make, which is very obviously a mistake, because hey, look, there's the two top guilds in the world and they've got different approaches in that sense. The idea that you always have to be positive or can never be pissed off, that's obviously blatantly not true. There's different styles that work for different people, for different players. And they each have upsides and downsides. But specifically for me as raid lead, one of the things I want to highlight here is how involved or how much you put into it yourself. It's basically, I've heard, some teams where they almost don't have a designated raid lead at all, that it's more of a collaborative effort and everyone sort of works together, and multiple people in the team are sort of sharing the load. And that's a very particular way of doing it, and would obviously avoid a lot of the problems here, Whereas for me, I was a very top-down raid leader, which means that I basically did everything for everyone. So coming up with all of the strategies, doing organizing all of the healing, all of the movement, all the DPS CDs, all the notes, just everything, right? Following up on the logs, figuring out what's going wrong. Are people using defenses in the right place? Or damage cooldowns in the right place? It's doing everything for everyone, which has big upsides and it has big downsides. The biggest upside, without question, is that you, by raid leading in that way, have a huge impact and a huge amount of control and just ability to influence how the team in general plays. You've got insane direct impact into that because you're literally, doing everything. So that can be a really positive thing, a really powerful thing to bring to your team, right? You can figure out what's going wrong and you can tell people what to do, and people are used to doing what you say, and you can change things very quickly, which is great. I thought this was especially valuable in the first tier, maybe even the first and second tier, probably when I was raid leading. So we started raiding Mythic in BFA. So we started in Uldir, and I wasn't raid lead then. But I was guild lead, and it was quite annoying because the officers hated each other and kept fighting and were pretty useless because they're just more interested in giving out about each other than actually doing their jobs. So didn't work too good. So I took over as raid lead going into the Battle of Desire Lore, and I was kind of going like, okay, I think we finished Uldir 5 out of 8 Mythic. So we were a long way off actually getting cutting edge, right? Because the last two bosses are often way more difficult. Certainly the last boss often way more difficult than the other bosses. And that's where a ton of your progress time comes in. So we were way off. There was a ton to do. So going in as a top-down raid leader, it literally was, to come up with the whole strategies. Look at exactly what every single player is doing in whatever fight that you're hard stuck on, like this early fight, boss number 4, you're hard stuck on. Look at those players and see, like, what are you getting hit by? Okay, you're getting hit by these things. You're not moving right. You're not using your damage cooldowns right. You're not using stuff on cooldown. You don't know how your rotation works. All that sort of stuff, and actually going and figuring it out, and then talking to players and getting them to change it. And not everyone likes that. You really piss some people off. Most people are pretty good with it, especially if you do it well. But yeah, some people obviously won't like it. But a lot of players, especially that level, they're new players. They're new to Mythic raiding. They have a ton to improve on. They know they have a ton to improve on, and they want to improve. So you can actually have a pretty positive impact there as long as you do it well. I will say, in terms of doing it well, I think the most important thing, in my opinion, as a Mythic raid leader, the thing that I tried to do, and one of the big reasons why I quit, was that I think it's really important that you respect your teammates, right? That you are fair, consistent, and respectful. That, like, okay, you can get pissed off at people, but you're getting pissed off at them because they're messing up. And then when they're not messing up, then you praise them and you say, hey, that's actually good. You don't shout at them when they're doing something right. And being consistent with that, being consistent in the rules and stuff, I think that's what really helps a lot of players. That's what they look for. If you think about this in any sort of job, you want your boss, you want your manager to be consistent, to be fair, to listen to people, and have their best interests at heart. And this is probably one of the biggest reasons why I've said that not only am I stepping down because I want to, but I feel like I have to, was that I was just getting, I'm talking about this top-down raid leading. That's so much work. That's so much that you're putting into it over and over again. It goes and goes and goes. And it does burn you out. You just become more frustrated because there's so much on you. You're carrying so much of that weight. It's just eventually, it's just the way it is. I just found, hey, I'm just too frustrated now. I'm just, instead of looking to help players, I just could feel in myself that my initial reaction is just to be pissed off with players. Rather than being interested in helping them or going like, okay, you're doing this wrong, well, let's go fix it. Let's have the solution-based approach. Okay, this isn't working right. Let's fix it. What can we do to change this? It was just like, for fuck's sake, you're doing it wrong. You motherfucker, you fucking useless. What's the point? It's that sort of attitude, which I felt was just not healthy. And that's something that happens. So it's about recognizing in yourself, like when you're reaching that point of burnout. Now, ideally, you would have someone that would tell you like, hey, you're being kind of a dick, you're kind of burnt out, maybe you shouldn't do this. I didn't actually have anyone really say that to me, but I felt it for myself, and I was like, you know what, this is actually the time to change. The specific moment, in fact, was the first night of Mythic Progress. I had intended, and this was something that was a tough decision for me, because I knew that I wanted to quit, but I didn't want to leave the team because we were pretty struggling at the end of Castle Nathria. I didn't want to leave the team like just sort of in the lurch going into a new tier and have it be really difficult. So I'd intended to actually raid lead for Sanctum of Domination. But I went into the first Mythic night and we killed the first boss, tower grew pretty quickly. But then on the second boss, on Eye of the Jailer, and just the dumb shit that some of those people were doing in there. And like, at the end of the night, I just sat down and I just opened the log. I looked at the death page and I just went, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this. I was just like, I'm just too pissed off. I just can't do this. So I was done. We might be at the end of the video. Do we have another pull here? Oh, we do have another pull. Oh, let's go. I don't know where we were in the video. My apologies. Probably here. I'm showing you some of the last pulls because these were some of the better ones. But yeah, I think some of the toughest parts of raid leading for sure. Funny enough, I actually think that the fun stuff, which is doing strategies and changing your strategies with your team and talking to your teammates and figuring out what's the best way for us to deal with this, what do we do? That's like 10% of what you do. About 50% of what you do is managing people, and just, all the stupid shit that they come out with. So you really have to be prepared for that, and you have to be prepared to continue to be fair even when it's really draining. And then, I don't know, about 30% is making people not die to dumb stuff in fights. That's the most important thing, by the way, in terms of the fight as a raider, is to not do dumb shit. It's just do your mechanics properly. Just don't try to do anything fancy. It's just play average and don't die. That's the most important thing. And you'd be surprised at how much people struggle with that. People, they just, I don't know. They like these things, right? People like meters and stuff. They don't really care too much about about winning fights as a team. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'd say that there's some of the biggest things. So I would say for you as a raid lead, it's about, I would say having good officers is also really important. And that was something that was always been sort of a struggle. Honestly, for me, I had a lot of officers fighting with each other for a long time, and it was a pain in the ass. That was really difficult. So I honestly can't give you good advice on how to do it well. And oftentimes you're trying to choose the best option out of options that aren't all very good. So that can be tough. Generally speaking, I think they're all okay, but finding someone that's really, really good is very, very hard, I think, as an officer. So if you do have good officers, be very grateful. I think that is important. And that makes it a lot easier, right? If you have, being able to talk through things with people, to share the load, to share the burden, as it were. Oh, goodbye, I'm knocked off the edge. That's really important, and that will help you. And I think that was part of what helped me. Having friends and being able to talk about that stuff definitely helped go through. And the funny thing is, obviously, I'm still raiding, and I'm actually having a great time raiding. So I think that's really nice too. And the raid team, we're still going strong, it's still going well. Actually kind of ramping up now after a lot of changes after Castle Nathria, really ramping up and getting better. So I think that's really good. I'm really enjoying it a lot more, just being able to raid, just being able to, do my stuff, prepare, go in, focus on actually playing my spec more, and trying to be good at a given spec and improve on a given spec and just enjoy the fights and not have to worry and not have to really deal with all the bullshit people come out with. Like someone shows up late and I'm like, you know what? Some dude showing up late is no longer my problem. I can just sit back and let someone else deal with it. And that's really nice. So So that can be a worthwhile change to bring in as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a rambly thingy, I guess, but I just wanted to share some of my quick thoughts on where I am. Still enjoying raiding. And I'm thinking about doing some different types of raid videos and sort of breaking down maybe some of the healing stuff and like sort of how I'm looking at the fight on a more personal level compared to the sort of the raid lead guides I was doing before. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. And sort of, I think being a good player as well is that, you know, as a player, this is important. Like for me here as a player, I'm not going to sit back and never make any contribution to tactics or anything ever. Like I can go in and say like, hey, I can help out with this, or give tips like, hey, how about we handle it this way? Or, oh, I could do this job. I can do this thing. Let's try it like this. Like making those contributions and helping out, I think is really important. And players that bring that are really valuable. So trying to do that is always good too. But anyway, there you go, guys. I mean, let me know. Obviously, probably most of you aren't raid leaders. Considering that I guess there's like 20 people in a mythic raid group and there's typically just one raid leader. But let me know what you think. What have been good qualities of raid leaders you've seen before? Have you ever quit being a raid leader, and what was your experience with that and stuff as well? Yeah, I'm curious to know. But thank you for watching. A bit of insight into what is going on with me, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Let me know any questions. I'll answer them in the comments as well if you have any questions. I'd be happy to help out or give more insight. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.